I've got the perfect Christmas dinner to show you that's sure to impress without all the stress. Before we even get to cooking, I'm going to share with you my very first tip, and that is to make it festive and special. Like everything else this year, Christmas will be different, but that doesn't mean it has to feel different or any less special. Next up, plan a menu and then stick to it. The recipes I've chosen today are all here on Allrecipes, and we will link them in the description below, but we have lots more to choose from. To get started, let's have a cocktail hour. This will set the festive tone, and it makes it a little different than a normal weeknight dinner at home. And listen, I don't leave the kids out. No, I'm not serving them booze. I love doing just a simple sparkling cider for the kids and a sparkling wine for the adults. I like putting out lime and cranberry because not only is it good together, but it also reminds you of Christmas with the red and green. The kids can add their own embellishments. You can set out some vodka or champagne. It all goes together. No fancy drinks, no problem. It doesn't cost anything just to break out the fancy glasses and pour water in them. Now let's talk about the food for this cocktail hour. Obviously, I'm going to keep it super easy and affordable, but I'm also going a little bit old school. I'm starting with classic deviled eggs, but I'm not stopping there. I'm also going to show you a fancier appetizer that's also super easy. Deviled eggs are super easy to make and very inexpensive. But if you don't even want to do that, most grocery stores have these in their prepared food section. And an easy way to fancy up just some old school deviled eggs is to add things like salmon, capers, fresh dill. To keep this family friendly, I only do that to about half of them and keep the other ones for my kids a little more basic. It's beginning to feel like a party already, am I right? Okay, for the next appetizer, because these are so easy, I'm showing you two, is a savory puff pastry Christmas tree. This recipe starts out with 2 tablespoons of softened goat cheese and 2 tablespoons of prepared sun-dried tomato pesto. You mix the two together. Next, it uses store-bought puff pastry, so easy. All right, we unroll this right onto our prepared baking sheet that's lined with parchment paper. And now we cut it in the shape of a Christmas tree. We'll start with the trunk and then we'll cut diagonal strips off the side to create the Christmas tree. And I'm not going to waste all these scraps. I'm going to cut out a star for the top of my tree because that's what I do at home. You can use a cookie cutter or you can cut it out yourself. Next, we spread a thin layer of our pesto goat cheese mixture over the surface of the tree. All right, now we're gonna sprinkle some pecorino romano over the top. Now we unroll our second sheet of puff pastry over the top and cut out the same shape as the Christmas tree. Now we cut the branches, and this is where it looks so fancy. Then you'll start with the lower branches and twist them away from you, hoping to get 2 turns on the lower branches and maybe only 1 at the top. Finally, we'll brush the top with a little egg wash and sprinkle with a little more cheese and oregano. Then pop it in the oven for 20 minutes, and it's time for happy hour. Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. Doesn't that look tasty? I'm going to carefully put this on a little serving platter. There we go. Cocktails and 2 hors d'oeuvres, and I haven't even broken a sweat. Now it's time for the main attraction. Don't feel like your Christmas dinner needs to be a whole recreation of Thanksgiving all over again. But if that's what you choose to do, I've got all the information you need in my easy turkey video and make ahead sides video. My tip when it comes to the main attraction for Christmas dinner is splurge a little bit. I don't do it often. This holiday only comes once a year, so I say make it extraordinary. I did not say make it difficult. Okay, a lot of times the more expensive cuts of meat require less preparation and less ingredients. So you do spend money up front, but you don't need a lot to make it taste good. For today's menu, I've decided to go with prime rib because it just sounds like Christmas, and today I'm using Chef John's perfect prime rib recipe. A lot of times the size and the cost of the meat is what's intimidating, and we just don't know how to handle it. So what I like to do, and listen, this does not usually cost any extra, is to have the person in the meat department or the butcher prepare it ready to go in the oven. All you have to do is season it and pop it in. What I had them do is go ahead and remove the bones, but then tie them back on so that they still get all that flavor. But when it comes time to slice it after it's cooked, it's going to be super easy and uniform. To simply prepare this prime rib, all we're going to do is combine softened butter with a good amount of pepper and some herbes de Provence. We rub this along the outside and then season it generously with salt. Now it's time to roast it in the oven, and nothing could be easier. We are going to cook this at 500 degrees for 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the weight of your prime rib. Then we turn the oven off and leave it in there for 2 hours. This is going to get perfect medium rare. Of course, you can up the cook time if you want it cooked further than that. If prime rib is a little too intimidating or expensive, you should check out our honey glazed ham. It tastes just like that famous store-bought version, but with a cheaper price tag. If you were dining in a fancy restaurant, your prime rib would come with some sort of sauce. This is my favorite horseradish sauce that I like to throw together when I'm serving beef in general. I combine equal parts mayonnaise and sour cream, add in a little Dijon. Then I stir in some prepared horseradish, and finally I finish it off with a little Worcestershire, salt, and pepper. This is a no-cook sauce that comes together in literally seconds. She really is a beaut. My mouth is watering as I imagine eating this. I'm going to remove the twine and let it rest for a second while I go get a serving platter, and then Christmas dinner is served. Having them remove the bone and then tie it back on makes for great flavor, but it makes this super easy to slice. Look at that. Oh my God. Now it's side time. I've got several tips in this department that should help your Christmas dinner go smoothly. First and foremost, your oven is most likely occupied by your main entree. So choose sides that can be prepared in an alternative way, such as your stovetop, slow cooker, or even your Instant Pot. My next tip to keep the actual dinner day stress-free is to make or assemble things ahead of time. Check out these ultimate twice-baked potatoes that can be ready even 2 days ahead of time and then popped in the oven while your meat rests. Next tip in the sides department, get some store-bought help. These pre-made mashed potatoes are a great product, and I'll show you how I like to zhuzh them up. Let's heat them up, stir in a little bit of goat cheese or whatever cheese you like, maybe some fresh herbs. I'll put this in a fancy dish and serve it up, and no one will ever know. And for my final tip when it comes to sides, choose some sides that require no cooking at all, like a simple salad or marinated vegetables. Now let's get back to those stovetop sides. I'm gonna show you 2 super simple sides. First up, glazed carrots. This is so easy. I have cooked my carrots in the microwave to get them a head start. And on the stove, I'm just gonna melt some butter, add in a little brown sugar, and a little salt and pepper. Gonna get that into a good glaze, and then we're just gonna toss our carrots right in. It really doesn't get much easier or more classic than this. Next up, pan-fried asparagus. Start with a combination of olive oil and butter. When everything is melted, add some garlic for a great amount of flavor, and then we're just gonna toss in our asparagus. And that's it. I'm gonna plate up these sides. You didn't think I forgot about dessert, did you? We have to end this festive occasion on a sweet note, so I'm going to start with probably the easiest dessert known to man, a trifle. We have this recipe on allrecipes.com, and you can make your own brownies, but after all this, and we want to keep it stress-free, I'm using the store-bought version. We layer our store-bought brownies with a mixture of instant chocolate pudding and sweetened condensed milk and Cool Whip all together. Next layer, Cool Whip. Again, you can make these a little more gourmet by making your own whipped cream, your own brownies. Also, these get better the longer they sit, so this is definitely something you could do a day in advance. And to top it off, I like to do chopped up candy bars. I have a combination of just Hershey bar and Heath bar. This dessert definitely feeds a crowd, so if you've got a smaller group, you might want to cut this recipe in half and do the individual servings. And for my final trick, a little boozy dessert for those who feel like being super festive. My main tip in the category of desserts is to use store-bought help. Ice cream is one of the best store-bought treats that you can jazz up and make it your own. You can make a fancy fruit sauce or a simple chocolate sauce, do a banana split bar, or try this, an Affogato. Classically, that's just espresso poured over ice cream. I like to make mine a little boozy by adding a little Kahlua. No cooking, again, involved in this dessert. This, to me, is the perfect dessert. So there you have it. I don't know about you, but I would definitely feel special if you served this up for Christmas dinner. Are there any tips that I didn't cover? Leave them in the comments below, and also let me know which one of these tips you're gonna try this Christmas. If you enjoyed this video and wanna see more like it, hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so you keep up with all things Allrecipes. Merry Christmas. Let me get a bite of that crust. Mmm, it's worth the extra money.